This episode is brought to you by Real Agency. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Zero BS Estate Agency, where we cut through the fluff, ditch the jargon and tell the truth about what it really takes to succeed in this industry. Now today's guest is someone I've got a lot of respect for. He's built a proper business the hard way, no shortcuts, no overpromising, no chasing volume for the sake of it. Reiss Braniff is a self-employed agent based in South London who charges anywhere between 1.5 and 2% fees, turns away sellers that don't align with his process and delivers the kind of service that makes clients shout his name from the rooftops. And in this episode, we're talking about why the agent is the most important factor when it comes to getting a home sold, what happens when you say no to overpriced listings, and the truth about Purplebricks and the lessons he learned from it, and why being brutally honest with sellers and buyers is actually getting, well, it gets better results. So this episode is packed with value for any agent, any seller, and anyone else that wants to learn what the inside looks like of a superior and top-notch estate agency. Reiss, what is the one thing that truly maximises the value of someone's home when they go to sell their property?
In my opinion, it's an agent. And what I mean by that is a competent agent that can not only value your property, but can sell it to the right buyer, but also get you through to completion.
But we're in an industry, right, where agents are distrusted before they say a word. They're disliked before they walk through someone's front door, right? So how then does that seller trust you?
How would the seller trust me on the appointment is providing them evidence of your work that you've done in the past, right? A lot of my work actually comes through referrals now. But when I started my business, a lot of it was door knocking and trying to save the day. But yeah, I guess it's providing proof that you can deliver on what you say you're going to deliver on.
But then, would you be prepared though? Let's say, for example, you're telling somebody, look, this is what the market's saying in terms of actual value. It's not what you're saying, it's what the market's saying, right? So yeah, you can have a bit of opinion, have a bit of guidance. But how would you deal with a seller or sellers that are just not accepting for love nor money anything you say? Would you sell their house or sell their flat, or would you walk away?
No, I'd walk away. This is a service-based industry, right? And and it's building relationships. And if you can't align with that relationship at the very beginning, that they trust you in your processes and what you do, then you're only just kicking the can down the road where you're going to have problems with that seller. So for me, unless they are aligned with my strategy and what I have planned, then I walk away. And that's the beauty of, again, being a self-employed agent now. It's not a KPI exercise. It's actually working with clients that want to work with you.
Yeah, totally. So effectively, the level of integrity means that if you were to win 2 instructions out of 10, but 8 of those potential instructions are literally just blinkered by things that have been told that are not necessarily true, are you saying because of the position you're in, being self-employed, you're actually winning 100% of your market?
Yeah, exactly that. And it's being able to accept that you don't need to win everything and sell everything. I don't need to take over my area. I'm looking to work with selected amount of clients at any one time, so I can deliver on the service, not overpromise and underdeliver. But also work with the sellers, as I said, that listen, maybe that have been burnt in the past as well. I think self-employed agents as well, like personal agents, have a lot more success with people that have been burnt in the past by other agents. So that's, again, how I started my business. But now I'm starting to get recommendations and people listen to me first time round. And now I'm having to turn away business because I can't take any more on. Not that the sellers don't want to listen to me.
I'm here, mate. I can't believe you've not said Savage will sort it out for you. He needs some work.
I think you'll get a nosebleed coming this far, right?
Yeah, no, I would do. Well, I'm a million miles away from you. But though, right? Why is the industry? Why does it never change? And what I mean by that is we still have a situation where, say my area right now, there's still 200 properties on the market. There's 100 of them, well, 112 are under offer, but there's still 200 that are on the market. There's over 150 of those have been on the market for longer than 30 days, not even under offer. Do you know what I mean? Now, what is the reason for that? Why is that the case? I
think from the conversations I'm having, especially at this time of year with on the valuations that I've been on, a lot of sellers, I'm in no rush. I haven't found anything that I want to move to yet. So I guess they're just testing the market to see how it reacts at a higher price through kind of spring, and then probably during the summer months may reduce to try and get it sold. So again, it's choosing your sellers. I would rather a seller that says to me, Reiss, I know where I want to be. I found the house that I want to buy. I'm motivated to get going, because again, that seller is going to be more aligned with what your marketing plan is. Whereas a seller that's in no rush, has no motivation whatsoever, yeah, it's just going to listen to the agent that tells them the highest price, and then potentially lose out on lots of properties that they actually do like and want to offer on. And then, yeah, we'll have to kind of either massively change their price to then reactivate the advert or change agent. But that would drastically affect, I believe, their overall result. Because, again, I look at it as a net result rather than just the sale price. I also help my sellers buy as well. So I make sure they get the best net outcome from the sale and from the purchase.
Yeah. Leading on from that, what is would you say, your unique selling point, the reason you have been so successful, not just as a self-employed agent, but as a agent starting from day one, week one?
You cut out a little bit there, but I think you was asking, what was the question again?
So, yeah, sorry, mate. What has been your unique selling point? Because you've not just been successful as a self-employed agent, you've been successful when you've been working for other businesses, right?
Yeah.
Why would you say that is?
I think it all stems from my initial entry into the industry. I had a really, really good manager. I worked for a very small independent office in Surrey Keys. I don't know if anyone knows that area. I want to shout out Stan Tonchev as well, who was my manager at the time. Essentially, I learned the business from the ground all the way, everything about the business. So from CRM systems to the whole lot. So it gave me a good understanding of how the business runs, but also the customer journey. We were looking after the customers. We were going out, filling out the property information forms before they were going onto the market. We were helping them get their properties ready. So it's just understanding that customer journey. And what I've tried to do throughout my career is just, work with customers, not just get the property on and get it sold, actually help them through the whole journey, which also helps with fees, and justifying my fee and what I charge, because it isn't just a numbers game for me. It's about delivering quality service. So yeah, I guess that for me, it's just understanding the whole process from measuring a property up, but also dealing with the sales progression of the property as well.
And is that where the fun begins?
I do, in a way, believe that a property can sell itself sometimes, no matter who the agent is. But actually dealing with a property once it goes under offer to completion, I think that is really where an agent will earn its fee. And I know some companies have sales progressors that do that. I also have a sales progressor that works alongside me now because of the volume. But just understanding that process when difficult conversations come up, preempting problems before they even happen as well. I've got good at doing that. So yeah, I think that's the actual main part of estate agencies, actually getting them through to completion, right? You can get professional photographers on every property. You can get lucky with that one viewer that wants to make a full asking price offer after the first viewing. But then are you able to manage that buyer and that seller all the way through that process?
Yeah, because you're absolutely dealing with people. What would you say though? An agent, because I think agents can suffer from that race to the bottom in terms of the fee that they charge. But for an agent that absolutely knows what they're doing, as you said, can see the punches coming, know not just how to position a property when it's launched, but everything that has to happen before a property's launched, and then take not just working with human beings that all have an opinion, their friends and colleagues will all have an opinion, their family will all have an opinion, right? So you've got to navigate that as well. You've then got to deal with, dare I say it, solicitors that don't actually know what they're doing, or too scared to make a decision, or will not actually, I heard earlier one person say dot an I or cross a T without some sort of authorization they're able to do it. If you are an elite level agent who is absolutely delivering results for your clients, you're delivering exactly what you said you would 99% of the time, what is that agent worth? What should the fee be?
My fee structure is between 1.5% and 2%. That's really where the fee should be. I have, when I came out of the high street, I went to Purplebricks, and I was selling houses for £350, and it was crazy because you can't deliver on the service with volume. So it's about having quality rather than quantity, but it takes time to actually understand that, especially when you first go self-employed, because you want to sell everything and everything. But then what happens is your service levels dip, sales start to fall through, your quality of marketing drops, you start overvaluing. So yeah, it's just being stick to your kind of your processes, stick to your guns in regards to your value and what your fee should be. And if you deliver on that every single time, the work will come. The recommendations will come. It just takes a bit of time.
Yeah. Lee has asked a question actually, and I forgot to mention the people that are watching this right now. Thank you very much for watching. Right, the purpose of Reiss and I doing this on TikTok is basically to kill two birds with one stone. This will go out as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music. But we also want it to be that literally for the first 20 minutes, we will talk about what Reiss is up to, why he believes in his way of doing things and how it is successful. But we also want to make sure that it gets opened up to the floor for a few minutes. Now, Lee has asked Reiss, launching an estate agency next month, any tips for pre-marketing?
Your phone book. Your network is your net worth. That's someone said that to me wise once. And your phone book essentially is where you're going to get your first instruction from. I literally sent WhatsApp messages, called all my friends, just got my name out there. And yeah, I got my first instruction from a friend that was a family member was selling. And then I just followed the process that you do in the high street. Before it went on the market, I sent the whole road a letter, letting them know a property was coming on. Sold the property quite quickly, send the road another letter or a flyer, let them know that it's sold in the time. And then I got another valuation, sold that one, got another, and it spiraled. So there is no golden ticket. You don't need to change anything. You just need to get in line very quickly what marketing you are going to deliver, what communication you're going to give that customer, and what aftercare service you're going to give that customer, and then deliver on it, and then you'll be fine. But if you start promising things and then under delivering, that's when it can go bad very, very quickly, especially as a high street, as a self-employed agent. One bad review can really, really hurt your business. So start small. I started by doing my own photography to begin with, and then I gradually have upgraded now to I've got a marketing team that work with me. give them a bit of a shout out, launch if anyone's interested. But I've done that over time because I knew that I can deliver on what my base values were, and now I've just added to it and invested more into my business to deliver a better service.
Yeah.
So keep the basics. Don't think it's you've got to do something drastic like doing social media and rolling around the floor everywhere. You just need to your phone book. Get in your phone book and see who is interested in selling.
Now, you mentioned a short stint at Purplebricks. Jez has written, Purplebricks barely have anything around me now. About 5 years ago, I think that's basically saying that they were all over the place, right? Now, my opinion on Purplebricks is that when they come around, they add such a phenomenal opportunity to really change the world of estate agency in the UK, right? They really add like a phenomenal, like, my good God, they can take over. But I think what happened, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I may be talking out of turn here. If I'm competing now as a Purplebricks agent, and I know it's say £1,000 up front, that's it, that's how much it's going to cost to get your household. But I'm competing with 3 other agents on the high street that are all going to say things that sound nice to win the instruction too. As a Purplebricks agent, were you able to say anything you wanted to say in terms of value?
I'm going to be really careful here because I've actually got nothing bad against Purplebricks. It actually took me out of a high street situation that I wasn't enjoying and brought me into the world of self-employment, and also showed me how technology can potentially help. And obviously it's progressed over time. I think, however, it got very diluted in the end. It became corporate. It was, you had to get this many instructions. You had to get this many reviews. You had to get this many sold. And it started to slip away from actually worrying about the customer, helping them. You couldn't go around there and help them with property information forms. You couldn't sit there and help them set up on Rightmove for their onward search. You just didn't have enough time in the day because the volume was so high because the fees were so low. So yeah, that was the problem. And then the aftercare service, again, at one point I was selling 25 to 30 properties a month. I couldn't do the sales progression on that. And I had to rely on a junior members of staff in a head office up north that had never bought a house before, never understood the process, managing those sales. And that's what I think was the downfall in the end. It wasn't personal at all. It was just a transaction in the end. But they did change the industry, and some of the agents that were working with me are now really good self-employed agents. Some of them are some of the best that I've worked with. So it wasn't that the agents were bad. It was just that it turned a bit corporate, unfortunately. Yeah,
and that's a real shame because, like I said, and I agree with you, they did have an opportunity to really, they did for a time smash the industry up. And completely pulled the rug from underneath people's feet. I just didn't. Yeah, it's a shame because you're talking about yourself, who is clearly very talented at making sure you're delivering results for your clients. You are getting paid the money you absolutely deserve to be paid for all the reasons you've just mentioned. But it's just a shame that they didn't have your voice and your colleague's voice and other people, like another guy I interviewed earlier, who also did a stint at Purplebricks, and he said exactly what you said. The software behind it was amazing. And the opportunity to be completely transparent and full of integrity was absolutely there. And if they, I reckon, had like propped you up as a voice, propped Mark up as a voice, propped some other guys that work for Bricks as a voice to do things the right way, then you absolutely would have cleaned up. Absolutely.
And you could have charged more of a fee as well. It didn't need to be a cheap fee, because people do see value in it and they understand that when you meet someone on evaluation, I say to them there and then that this could be a 6 to 9 month relationship that we're going to have, right? And if I'm a seller and I'm looking at someone thinking I'm going to work for someone with 6 to 9 months and I'm paying them 500 quid, what kind of service am I going to get for that? And that's what I think worked out in the end. People realised that unfortunately, the customer's word just become numbers. Look, they still deliver. They are still working in some areas, and it still does work for some sellers as well. But yeah, as the comment as your gentleman said, that it's getting less and less now.
Yeah, and here's another question, right? It's a good one. This is a really good one. So Qureshi is asking how to find the right solicitor. He's got his offer accepted, but haven't found a solicitor yet. What type of solicitor does Qureshi need?
Qureshi needs to deal directly with a case handler solicitor. And then what I mean by that is there's two types of solicitors. You can get what's called like a conveyancing factory, where there's one solicitor kind of that sits in the middle, and you imagine all these people work around the outsides and getting all the information, and then they report into the solicitor. Whereas if you deal directly with a case handler, you're dealing directly with that person that may have an assistant, but is sourcing that information and managing your file all the way through. An important question to ask at the moment, especially because of the stamp duty holiday, is the capacity. Have they got the capacity to give you the service that you want? Are you going to get updates every week? Is it going to be bi-weekly? And a solicitor, I do think, again, they're a bit underpaid in the sense the amount of work they do as well. So don't go for the cheapest solicitor. Get some recommendations from friends, and maybe speak to the agent as well that you've offered through, because the solicitors I recommend, I don't get anything from them, but I know they deliver a good service, which helps me manage the sale as well. But I do know other agents do get kickbacks from solicitors, but maybe have a chat with the solicitor the agent's using as well, because they usually have a good personal relationship. And yeah, if there a problem arises, they can jump on the phone and speak to that solicitor directly.
Absolutely. And so I've just seen, so Shah has just joined, right? Hi, Shah. You don't have to stay here for that much longer. But Qureshi, if you're still here, my advice to you is to reach out to Shah. And basically, she is that exactly what Reiss was just saying there, a case handler that is just phenomenal. Nice to see you again. But in terms of for me, and I agree with you, Reiss, all good agents want at least either the solicitor acting for the buyer or acting for the seller that they personally know, that they know will pick up the phone. They want them somewhere in the transaction. Because if they have them in the transaction, when things start going wrong, and it will, it's like there's going to be some massive obstacles that are going to come up during the transaction. You need a solicitor, like Reiss is saying, that actually is the case handler, that actually is prepared to pick the phone up to you and says, okay, I'm dealing with it. Not be chasing forever and a day, because it could end up costing you a hell of a lot more money than you initially thought you were going to pay. So Shah is saying, Qureshi, please. So Shah, and she's got an L on the end of her name with an X, is on TikTok and is fucking brilliant. So excuse my language. Right.
We've been doing this. I like all these questions actually coming through.
They're decent, aren't they? Are you happy to do at least another 9 minutes?
Yeah. I'm in no rush.
Yeah, wicked. Because I think it's important. Because look, we've spoken about tonight. What is the one thing that truly gets maximum money? You've said, and you clearly stated why. It's the actual agent. Okay, fine. What does that look like? You've said proof, evidence, and I completely agree with that as well. Right? We've spoken about Purplebricks. Purplebricks being a fantastic platform behind the scenes. You really enjoyed it, but again, it's like it was a volume business, and suddenly your service levels are dropping. And we're saying that really, my fee is 2%. And I actually ask for a £500 marketing contribution up front.
Yeah, I'll do that as well.
Yeah. Why am I doing that? I'm doing that because actually my contract is 0 days long. Yeah. Now, the reason I do that is because I know my service levels are through the roof. My service levels are fantastic. There's no reason for a seller to want to leave me. But I also know if I get it wrong, or if I suddenly turn into the biggest dickhead in the world, right, it's going to cost my seller loads of money, because now they're locked into a contract they can't get out of. and I'm going to end up costing them money because it's going to be on the market for too long and no one's buying it, so on and so forth. But you though, Reiss, why? Why have you created the business to the depth and breadth that you have? Why couldn't you just go, yeah, I'm doing all right now and that's it? Why do you keep on striving for greatness? Why do you still keep on coming back and trying to get better and better and better, even though you probably ain't got that much further to go to get to the pinnacle?
That's a real deep question, John. I guess it's maybe from my humble beginnings as well, and seeing how I've grown with it, and watching myself slowly grow within the area. So the area that I work in, Greenwich and Blackheath, is a very it's a lot of old money, and there's now some new money as well, and it takes time to go build up in that ladder. And what I'm enjoying is helping the people sell the flats, because nobody wanted to help them. I was helping them, and now I'm helping them sell the houses. So I'm enjoying that journey, as well as the buyers and the sellers actually growing in the market.
Can I cut in on that? Sorry, just to cut in on that.
Yeah. You
just said you wanted to help the sellers of the flats. Is that because of what happened at Grenfell and the EWS? I
wouldn't say that. Just more about in my area, the agents, I believe they're more focused on the big ticket properties, right? And when I go out to evaluation, and I actually talk a lot about the solicitors and getting market ready before you go on, especially with a flat. And it's actually quite scary when I speak to the sellers, and I say, look, have you been made aware of the leasehold deed certificates, the EWS1 forms, and all these compliance that you're going to need? And they're like, no, I've had 4 agents round and they told me they're going to put me on Rightmove and told me this figure. So I actually spend more time advising them about getting market ready, because again, anyone can put you online, but once a sale's under offer, can that agent navigate through selling a leasehold, which is probably one of the most difficult sales you can do? And in London, it's even more difficult with all the compliance and the huge managing agents that you can never get hold of. I'm not going to shout out any names, but there's a few that I could definitely swear at a few times. But yeah, I guess I enjoy. But again, that's where I get a good fee, because people see the value in what I'm doing, and I know what I'm doing. And then at one point, I'd like to grow into the houses and the bigger properties, but that's the long term for me.
So just want to say one thing to the people that are making the comments. I'm trying to like your comments because they're excellent, and I can't, so I apologise that it won't allow me to like them, no matter how much I muck around with the settings. But Luke's got a question. Opinions on the market at the moment?
Opinions on the market at the moment. I only can control my area and what's going on in my area. Had a lot of viewings this January and February, a lot of buyers coming into the market. And it's quite typical this time of year, lots and lots of viewings. I believe now it's really going to start picking up with offers, because people have done that kind of all those viewings and now starting to make decisions. It happens every year, right? It's like a cycle. January, February, loads of people, I'm going to buy a house this year. So the first 2 months, lots and lots of viewings. But yeah, March, April, May is when I think we're really going to see the settlement of the market. Is it going to be better than it was last year? And I'm pretty confident it is. It's a more stable market than it was last year with the interest rates. It's just the only one thing I'm struggling against at the moment is service charges, ground rent, and leases. That's the biggest obstacle I have in my market, especially with flats. But again, it's just about talking to the customers, making them understand that, and positioning the properties where buyers will oversee that and happily take on the leasehold.
Yeah. So service charges and ground rent, what are the issues that you're having there with flats at the moment where you're based?
So service charges are just the astronomical rise, how much they've gone up, the lack of what you get for your money. I saw a service charge accounts for last year for a block that has no concierge, no gym, nothing. Service charge for a 2-bed is £5,000 a year, and the managing agent spent £6,000 on Christmas trees for the communal area, right? But then leaseholders are paying £5,000 a year, and they haven't got anything. So it's the big problem is justifying those levels of service charges. And then ground rents, a lot of properties have this rent review every 10 years, which is kind of linked to RPI, which is inflation. And it's reviewed every 10 years, and there's no caps, and the banks and mortgage lenders don't like that. So a lot of sales at the moment are having to get deed of variations, things changed in the lease. So yeah, it's difficult. It is difficult. But again, I try and tackle all of this up front now. I ask the buyer, if they're not going to use my solicitor, ask your solicitor to read the lease. And if they can see something in there that they wouldn't be happy with if they was representing the buyer, let's deal with it now, because it is going to come up in 2 or 3 months with the buyer's solicitor. So it's just about preempting those issues and being transparent with buyers as well. A lot of agents are still not disclosing the material information on the portals. I'm truly open. If you look at my adverts, I talk about average bills for the month. I go really into depth so buyers understand what they're coming to see. And I get good feedback from that as well.
Why? Why do you do that?
Sorry?
Why do you do that?
Because I want buyers to know what they're coming to see, right? There's no trick here. You can't trick them in and then suddenly not tell them the service charge or fabricate the service charge. What's the point? It's about having all the information. So when a buyer's coming to view, they've seen one of my videos, so they know roughly what they're coming to look at. They know all the rough costings of utilities, service charges, and ground rent. So essentially, they're coming there to make a decision if they're going to offer or not, not just to have a look around.
And then so basically what you're saying is when eventually, as you just mentioned, the buyer's solicitor ends up finding something out, and it then scares the buyer, your seller's just lost a sale.
Exactly that. It's about getting everything out in the open, up front. Buyer knows what they're dealing with. I've just got a sale that fell through, unfortunately, due to a survey. We've put it back on the market, and I've been truly open to buyers. I've explained to them the surveys, what happened on the survey and what the seller's doing about that survey. And I've got 2 offers on it now, and there's no worry about it. They know what's coming. They know the situation with the building, and they're happy with it. Whereas if I didn't say that, they have their own survey, which would have costed them £600, £700, £800. It would have come up in that, and then it could have fell through. So yeah, it's about just having that material information up front to give the buyers the full picture of what they're looking at.
Who does the agent work for? Does the agent work for the seller, or does the agent work for the buyer?
The agent works for the seller, but he or she should also assist the buyer. And what I mean by that is again, another first-time buyer today. She just didn't understand the whole process of it, and I just sat and talked her through it. She didn't end up coming to buy a property through me, but I just talked her through the process and understanding it a bit more. I think, and I always look at a client and a person I interact with that maybe one day they're going to be a seller, and they're going to know that I helped them on that journey to begin with. So on my social media, I do a lot of questions. I took a little bit of inspiration from you as well, and just try and answer some questions, because I do deal with a lot of first-time buyers, so they do feel confident when they're coming to see a property with me. They know that I can help them as well, not just working for the seller. But my job is working for the seller, of course.
But the fact is, though, is that you're not wasting people's time.
No. My time is so precious now, so precious, and my sellers know when the viewings are coming round, they're really good qualified leads viewings, not someone coming round saying, I don't know, some crazy feedback that they should have known before they come on the viewing.
Absolutely. Right. Let's see if there's any more questions. I think there's a good chat going on here. Yes, Kerry says today's buyer is tomorrow's seller. Absolutely.
100%.
For those of you that are based in East London, Kerry Baker Estates, that's who's just made that comment, is another phenomenal agent I've had in my podcast as well. And she's a beautiful woman too. I've met her. So that's really good. Right, mate, listen, you have been amazing. I'm going to do something now that people don't hear, which is, right, that's end the podcast. Reiss, mate, again, I can't believe I didn't press record last time. Gutted.
I think you should tell everyone what you did, John.
Yeah, the reason why Reiss is back on this is because I didn't press record the last time I interviewed him on Zoom. So, but you know what though? Everything happens for a reason, and I think it's actually turned out nicer.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But mate, honestly, thank you. And again, look, we could talk about this all night because you're clearly passionate. You're clearly good at what you do. You're clearly doing some big things in your area, and the reason why you're doing it is because you're just being a normal person that just happens to be an expert at fucking getting flats and houses sold, but prepared also to walk away from sales that are not right. And that speaks massive volumes, mate. So I appreciate the fact that you've actually gone, do you know what, all right, fine, I'll come and do it again.
No worries, I appreciate it.
And that's it for today's episode. Massive thank you to you, Reiss Braniff, for dropping some serious value and showing us what it looks like when you put service over sales tactics and integrity over ego. Now, if you're an agent listening to this and you are not charging what you are worth, rewind this episode and take notes. And if you're a seller, ask yourself, is your agent giving you this level of care, honesty and follow through? If not, maybe it's time to rethink who's selling your biggest asset. And if you've enjoyed this episode, do me a favor. Please follow the show on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Leave a review and share this one with an agent who needs to hear it. Until the next episode, as always, no fluff, no jargon, just the truth, and I'll see you soon.